So bad. Just so bad. I have nothing to say. Just so bad.
The biggest chess streamer Karu Nakamura strongly criticized the Polish candidate master for not being able to give checkmate with a knight and a bishop. A few months later, he was in the same situation and he also failed it.
What the heck am I doing?
Don't repeat the same mistake and learn now how to give checkmate with a knight and a bishop. As always in all the checkmates, rule number 1, we need to bring the king to the edge of the board. For edge of the board, I mean one of those squares. Now, the checkmate with a knight and a bishop is pretty special because we need to bring the king to the right edge. Which one is the right edge? The right edge is the one with a square of the same color as our bishop. Now memorize the starting position: king, knight, king, bishop. Our goal will be to bring the king from the wrong to the right edge. Let's start with the move bishop h7, controlling the square on g8, forcing the king to move here. Now we will go on with the W technique. Knight will move towards this square. This is a W. Knight here, we are controlling this square. Now the king has two options, 1 or 2. If the king goes here, we give a check with the knight. The king can just go there. We follow it with the king. The king can just move here. We follow with the king. And if the king goes there, bang, check. We lose a tempo and we reach the same position, just a few files towards the edge. The most challenging move here is to go with the king here, trying to escape. And here you need to remember, you follow with the king goes out, and bang, knight to d7. This is an important move. The knight is controlling those two squares, and once the king goes here, you need to create a shield to make the king go back. The knight is controlling this square, the king is controlling this. You just need to make sure that also this square gets controlled. And so you play bishop d3. Now, if the king goes there, you follow with the king, and then it's very easy to restrict. If the king moves here, you restrict the shield. The bishop is controlled those two squares, the knight this, and the king this one. King is forced to go back, and now you go with the king. If the king tries to run, you stop it with a check. The king goes back, you lose a tempo, the king is here, and now we have the same position. We keep going with the W. Knight goes here, controlling this square. If the king goes there, check. The king goes here, we follow with the king. The king has to move there. We follow with the king, and if the king tries to escape, we give a check with our bishop, forcing the king to move back. And now finally we have restricted this king to those two squares. All we need to do is to maneuver our knight, attention, not to give stalemate, so here we lose a tempo with our bishop. Always when we need to lose a tempo, we do it with our bishop. The king moves here, then check, bing, mate. And now, how do we bring the king to the edge of the board? There is not a clear rule that can help you bring the king towards the edge, but you need to use all the pieces together. The trick is that when we place the king in front of each other and the bishop in between the two kings, we force the black king to go back. That's why in this position there are of course many good moves for white, many moves are winning, but I really like the idea of bishop c4. With the idea that after king there, we go with the king. Once the king goes on d6, bang, we reach the ideal position. The two kings are facing each other and the bishop is controlling the square next to the black king. So the king needs to go back. Remember, every time the king is moving, you should try to follow him with your own king. The problem is that there is the knight here, so you cannot really go there. If not, you would do that. But you can follow the king like this around. Because now if the king tries to escape, you follow this. And now the important thing is that you cover this square. You don't want the king to start running away and then is making the tour of the board. So control this square. So bang, knight d3. And now what is the king going? Either is coming back or is going there. If it goes there, remember, follow the king. And if king there, yes, the same. And now we reach very similar position. You follow the king, you go with the knight, and now again restriction. And now you're ready to follow the king. Please do better than me. Avoid a stalemate. For example, here you could play king here. If the king tries to escape, you block with the knight those two squares. The bishop is already blocking this. Now the king can just go back here or there. Let's say the king goes on h5. You go with the king. The king has to move there. And now you block this square with the bishop. So the king needs to go to the edge of the board. It's the wrong edge, so we need to set up the starting position. And from this position, you know what to do. In the description, you find the link to train this checkmate against the engine on chess.com. For now, remember to like, subscribe, and leave me a comment. See you next time.